It's Yerofeyev's opinion that Putin, seen here addressing the nation last year, is more liberal than the rest of the country. Hard to believe, considering how hard he's come down on dissent.
I think that what Europe could do today is not to isolate Russia. We have to come closer and closer and to know each other better.
During the Cold War, rapprochement was championed by some as a means of achieving change. It took decades coming. Russia and Europe still have a long road ahead.
What role can culture play in conflict-torn Sudan? We head to an independent theater festival there with a German performance artist.
Arrival in the capital, Khartoum, an everyday reality that is rarely depicted in the Western media. Sudan is one of the biggest countries in Africa. Military dictator Omar al-Bashir has been in power since 1989. Sharia law was introduced then too. Conflict has devastated the country. Berlin-based performance artist Eva Maya Keller was invited here by the Goethe Institute to run a theater workshop. The participating artists have come from all over the country to exchange their thoughts and ideas about art and culture.
Yes, this is not about perfection. This is like also what's part of this performance presentation. It's about problem solving.
This sounds ambitious, but is it realistic? After 20 years of civil war, there's no cultural infrastructure, no state funding at all. Artists cannot earn a living with their work.
My impression is that they're really enthusiastic for practical reasons. They now have a structure to their day. They have a plan. They have to be here at 10 a.m. I don't think many of them usually have this.
This is also reality in Khartoum. Thousands of people went onto the streets to protest against the government in September. The military cracked down brutally. Hundreds were killed. Some of the artists participating in the workshop lost friends. They're cautious when talking about the political situation. They cannot voice their criticism openly. Haitham Awad uses subtle imagery. Pink petals raining down. The workshop inspired him to stage a new play.
It's like a puppet show, but with real people instead of puppets. They protest, free themselves from their strings, and then start becoming more independent.
Lily Kobler is the head of the Goethe Institute in Sudan. She organized the workshop to promote civil society.
I think the strength of such a theatre festival is that people come together and exchange their views about Europe, Germany, their own values, other values.
Another ambitious goal. All the groups presented their plays on the last night of the workshop. But beforehand, a ritual involving frankincense was carried out to stave off stage fright. One group set fire to a map of Sudan to symbolize all the flashpoints in the country. And before the next performance, an impromptu concert took place. Eva Maya Keller also attended. This group came from Nyala, the biggest city in the conflict-ridden region of Darfur. The United Nations has accused pro-government Arab militias of a campaign of ethnic cleansing against non-Arab locals there. There are currently around 2.3 million internally displaced people in the whole of Sudan. The actors have also presented their plays in displaced people's camps, risking their lives in the process.
There are a lot of very big problems in Darfur. But that shouldn't stop us artists from doing our work. We have to find a way of getting access to our audiences. Art knows no borders.
The play is based upon an ancient Darfur legend, a satire on despots and their greed for power.
Art is extremely important in my homeland. Theatre can help us learn to name problems by their names. Art can help us to accept other ethnic groups and show us possibilities to live together in peace.
A brave closing line in a dictatorship where words are closely examined for traces of dissent. It was also a learning experience for Maya Kella.
Before, the country was just a dot on the map for me, a few images from TV or the newspaper. Now my eyes have been opened.
But is that enough? Although the festival brought some relief and space to exchange ideas, prospects for the artist remain limited so long as there's no political freedom in Sudan.
Drug gangs have much of Mexican society in their steely grip. We meet an artist and a filmmaker whose work focuses on the terror they wreak.
Across Mexico, fear has become an everyday reality. The killing simply doesn't stop. Since 2006, about 70,000 people have been murdered by drug cartels. Countless are missing.
Many people think the drugs trade is the problem, but Mexican society is completely devastated. Its institutions no longer work. The drug cartels have now infiltrated public agencies. They're in the police. You find them among judges, in the government. They've taken over power.
What can I do? You can't do anything. The fact is, people have no value there.
We meet two Mexicans who are grappling with their country's harsh reality. Teresa Margolles is a visual artist. Death, violence, and the power of the narcos, the drug traffickers, are her subject. Filmmaker Victor Orozco Ramirez grew up in Guadalajara. He's lived in Germany for 10 years. It wasn't until he was far from home that he grasped the extent of the brutality in Mexico. For 3 years, he worked on a very personal animated film.
Era otoño, y Mal acababa de llegar a Alemania cuando ya extrañaba la familia, los amigos, los tacos y el sol de México.
A man is killed by the drug traffickers. Teenagers watch a mobile phone recording of the execution. Orozco shows us their fascination, a sign of brutalization. He used original footage and altered it on a computer. The sound is original. During his research, Orozco Ramirez found more and more of these violent homemade clips on the internet. Murders are filmed and uploaded as propaganda. Killing is no longer enough for the drug barons.
It's impossible to show this material as it is. It's much, much too violent. So animation was the perfect way to create distance. It may sound cynical, but I consciously used a lot of color in dealing with this dark subject. Very Mexican.
A work by Teresa Margolles also deals mercilessly with this subject. In 2004, she had shimmering soap bubbles rain down on the Art Basel exhibition. The accompanying text explained that anonymous victims of the drug war were washed with the water before they were buried.
I thought every soap bubble could represent a body. Every soap bubble that touches you makes you think of this murdered person, this anonymous victim. And being touched by it reminds you that you're still alive.
Margolles has been dealing with death for more than 10 years, and she lets it come painfully close. She studied forensic medicine and worked in a mortuary in Mexico City. More and more deaths, more and more violence. She set up a wall with bullet holes from shootouts in a museum to focus the international art community's awareness on the struggle that's destroying her country. At the Venice Biennale, she hung blood-soaked flags in front of the Mexican pavilion. She exhibited her installation made of front pages from a Mexican tabloid at the Berlin Biennale, featuring a new victim every day. The pictures are from Ciudad Juarez, a bastion of the drug cartels.
It's not that it saddens me. It makes me furious. It drives me to keep working.
One of her new works consists of tons of rubble, the remains of an empty building in Ciudad Juarez. Hundreds of thousands of people have already fled the terror of the drug war there. All that remains are their deserted houses. In 2010 and 2011, 6,000 people were murdered here, an average of 8 per day. Teresa Margolles calls her work Promise.
You came to this city bordering the U.S. to make a better life for yourself and your children, to find work, to see your children grow up. And what remains of that promise? Countless teenagers have disappeared without a trace. The promise of a better life? What's it turned into?
Teresa Margolles and Victor Orozco Ramirez, two artists for whom the situation in Mexico is a burning issue. They're showing the world the brutal reality there. It's impossible to look away.
The solution to the problem is in Mexico and nowhere else. Mexicans themselves have to restructure their society, stop ignoring violence, and stop tolerating the narcotics trade.
And that's all from Arts 21 for today. For more, go to our website at dw.de/culture or on Facebook.